Hey, it's Janae. I'm just here to give a quick update on my stitching. It's been a little while. I've been kind of busy with work and such, and I guess whenever I had a chance to make a video, I just decided that I would rather stitch since I don't have too much time to stitch anymore. But I don't remember when the last time is that I made a video, but I've had awesome progress in everything since then, I'm sure. I have several finishes and several fully finished items. There's one right now at the cross-stitch store being framed, so I can't show that one. But I do have several items that I have framed in the last couple months, so that's exciting. I don't have very many whips right now because I've been working on finishing my whips. That's why I have so many finishes. But I guess we can go ahead and get started with the whips, and then I'll move ahead to finishes and then FFOs. And then I figured, since I've bought some things since my last video and now, I figured I'd just show you everything that I have in my stash. Unfortunately, I fell off the don't buy anything new until I finish what I already have thing that I was doing for a good period of time, but I've kind of jumped back on that now. So anyway, I have some things to show that are that I did buy during the last couple months, but now hopefully I'm not going to be buying anything else until I get these done. So let's go ahead and get started with whips and new starts, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so my first whip is actually also connected to something that I just got in the mail yesterday, which is very exciting, and it actually works incredibly well, and that's the Lowry work stand. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So this is my chatelaine called Hortus viridarium. I don't remember where I was last time I showed this. I may have just had this inner part done, but now I've done all of this, and I'm just working on finishing up the cross stitching in this part. You can see in here there's some spaces. There's going to be some purple in these large things, and then most of the other spaces are for beads or Jessica stitches. I also redid these guys because I had used two plies of the thread, but it really needed to be only one ply, and it was bothering me because I did these with one and then these with the two, and they weren't the same size. These looked too bulky. I didn't like the way they were shaped, and so I went ahead and took all those out and redid them. Left to do on these are called rice stitches, I believe. I need to put this blue metallic. There needs to be an X inside each of them. I don't know why I skipped that, but I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. So this is where I am on this guy. I believe I mentioned this in my last video that I had a goal to get this done and framed for the next Woodlawn Needle Arts show, which is scheduled for March, and honestly I'm not sure that I'm going to make that goal. I haven't been working on this very much, to be honest. I was working on a lot of other stuff, but you know, I'll keep working on it, see where I get to. If not this year, then I can always use it next year for the Needle Arts show. So, as I mentioned, I got the Lowry work stand in the mail yesterday. It took about 2 weeks. I ordered it on the 27th, I think it was. I ordered it on a Monday, the Monday after Thanksgiving, and then I got it yesterday, which was Saturday the 8th, I believe. So it took just a little under 2 weeks from order to arrival, which I thought was pretty good, seeing as it was coming from the UK. And it was pretty easy to put together, and I like it so far. I've only used it for maybe like 30 minutes last night before I went to bed, but here we have this clamp. It fits a Q-snap. You can see there's still plenty of space back here, so if you have like a wider frame for whatever reason, I'm not sure like how wide the Omnique frames are, or like what are those ones that are, you have to wait forever to get them? Those ones. I don't know how wide those are, but I'm sure they fit in here because I think I've seen them on Flosstube. But you have that. I put this here, this bat here, just as like a way to protect the fabric from the metal. Not that it's dirty, but the instructions do recommend to protect the fabric against from the metal, which I think is reasonable. This here allows you to loosen this and turn it that way, and then you can see that it's attached to this long pole, which is then attached to this base that's pretty large, which goes under your chair. Anyway, there have been plenty of videos about this on YouTube already. I just wanted to show you what mine looks like and to tell you that I've really enjoyed working with it so far. And something that I saw on the So and So website is they actually have colors of these, so if you want, there's like a yellow, a red, a blue, and I'm not sure, there was a fourth color, which I thought was kind of cute. I didn't want that because I like how this is very discreet, and also the ones that are colored cost more, but just something I thought that you guys might be interested in. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to my next whip. It's actually a recent new start, haven't gotten very far on it at all. It's a little freebie that my mom got from her needlework shop by La Di Da. I don't know if you can see that. It's alphabet, has little hearts, and then it has a bunny, which I think is adorable. Anyway, I'm doing it over 1 on this, I don't remember if it was 32 or 36. I just bought it too. But yeah, I just started the N here. And I chose the floss Wavy Navy by Gentle Art. And you can see it has some good variegation. I'm not convinced that it's really going to show up very well in the piece itself. But anyway, that's just a little thing that I started. Alright, next I have a a Joyful World Sal. I'm still working on them. I have, August, September, and October left to do. This is my progress on October so far. I think it looks pretty good. These last 3 are my least favorite, and August and September are my least favorite of all 12. But this is October. I think October is pretty cute. I like the colors on it. Here's another work in progress that I probably haven't worked on at all since I last had a video. This is the Little House Needleworks Little House Neighborhood one. Looks like this is the final product. And I don't know why, I just haven't really felt drawn to it. I guess I was, like I said, I was really working on finishing pieces that were close to being finished. And this one, I don't know, I guess I do have a good amount done on it, but it's not like close to a finish. But here it is. I'm doing it over 1 over 1 on 28 count. I think it's turning out really cute. I love the size of it. Oh, now that I see it, it kind of does make me want to work on it some. But honestly, this is, I'm pretty sure, exactly where I was last time I shared it with you. So hopefully before I do my next video, I'll be able to work on this some. I still think it's adorable, and like I said, I love the size. I mean, look how little this is next to my hand. It's teeny, it's so cute. And I still love the 1 over 1, the pieces that I'm doing that are 1 over 1. They can be a little bit more frustrating, like if you have to take anything out, any stitches out. It's just a lot more, requires a lot more patience to take stitches out from the 1 over 1. But I think it looks really, really cute. So I'll keep working on this, and hopefully in my next video I'll have a little bit more progress to show you. Alright, so my last whip is also a new start. It's the Pumpkin Patch Farm sampler by the Victoria Sampler. It's this one. I think it's pretty cute. I started it because I was in a fall stitching mood, I guess is a better word for it. And I stitched it through Thanksgiving, just because then I was like, oh, I really should start Christmas stitching. Not because I got bored of it at all. In fact, maybe I should have finished it, to be honest, because it really is pretty cute. I have gotten quite a bit done. So I am using the called for threads. I have the thread pack. And I'll show you this and then I'll kind of talk about it a little bit. So this is the first panel. I think it's pretty cute. It's the second panel. I think that one's my favorite. And then this one I think turned out really nice. And then I got the words in. And then if you remember from the picture, it's going to be like a large barn down here, and this weather vane is the top of the barn. So I think it's really cute. Something that I think was a bit of a problem was this floss here. It's a Gloriana floss, I believe. And if you can see, it's the variegated floss that is the leaves here. You can see this here, there's a little bit of like blue purple, a little bit here too. I had to really select the strands that I used, and obviously, you know, I'm gonna redo these, I think. I was just really worried because in the thread pack you only get so much, and I didn't think I would have enough to do all of this, plus there are more uses of it below. So I actually did end up buying another skein of that one because they give you a lot of floss in the accessory pack, but it's still not enough because the center of my strand had the blues and the purples, and I don't want the blues and the purples for the fall leaves. So I'm probably gonna be taking out quite a bit of these leaves, as well as down here, some of these leaves on the ground you can see kind of came out purpley, and I'd rather have the oranges and yellows. So that's really the only thing I have to say about that. Otherwise, I've been pretty happy with the accessory pack. I like the colors that they've chosen, and I think that I've had enough floss in the pack as well. Okay, so now for finishes. I have had a lot of finishes, but I actually only have 2 to show you right now because a lot of them have been framed, or one of them is being framed right now, or gifted. I can show you a picture of one that I gifted to my mother for her birthday, which was earlier this month. We went on a trip together to Newport. It was like our own little cross-stitch retreat, and I'll show you the piece that we did on that trip in just a moment. It's framed already. And there's a big thing in Newport with pineapples, and I'm sure a lot of you know that pineapples are a symbol of welcome, a symbol of hospitality, and like I said, it's a really big thing in Newport. And I really thought the pineapple thing was really cute. And so when I was in the needlework shop later, like a couple months after the trip, I saw a little pineapple cross stitch that, you know, was like maybe 2 inches by 4 inches. It was really small, and I decided, oh, I think that's really sweet. I can make it for my mom, and it'll like be a little memory, another cross stitch memory from our first cross stitch retreat. So I went ahead and made that for her. And I forgot to take a picture of it, but she sent me a picture of it after she received it, so here's that picture now. And I think it turned out really cute. We put it in like a pretty thick frame, which I thought was nice. I wish I had chosen a different background, a different fabric. I used the vintage Country Mocha fabric because I had some extra in my stash, but I wish I had chosen something a little different. Additionally, the flosses that I used were not the called for flosses, and that's because my needlework shop did not have the flosses that were called for. The yellow floss is the one that's called for, and one of the greens is as well, but that green was supposed to be the darkest green, and it ended up being my lightest green. So the actual chart would have turned out lighter if I had used the actual flosses that were called for. But it was a quick stitch, and I didn't want to like have to order floss and then wait for it to get here. So I went ahead and chose my own greens, and that's how it turned out, and I thought it was cute. She says she likes it, but I think even if she didn't, she would have said that too. So anyway, so that's a little gift that I gave to her for her birthday. My next finish that I want to show you is actually a Halloween finish. I've never done Halloween stitching before. I don't really like Halloween in general, but I thought this one was cute. It was mild, like it's very Halloween-y, but it's not like creepy or anything. I just don't like Halloween. I'm not really into like the scary culture, I guess. I'm not sure, and I don't know, the whole like concept of like dressing up is, I don't know, it was always more of a chore for me when I was a kid. And so anyway, Halloween isn't my favorite, but I thought this was cute, and I think, you know, it's good to have a little piece for the holidays. I'm looking at some other pieces from the drawn thread that I actually like as well that are Halloween pieces that are also like kind of cutesy, but you know, I'm not sure if I'll do them or not. Anyway, this is a piece by With Thy Needle and Thread by Brenda Gervais, and I think it's called Bobbing for Pumpkins. Okay, and here is my finish. So I used all the called for flosses, and then this fabric, it's a really rough, like rustic, uneven mushroom Lugana, I believe it's called, by oh, what is that company? It's the company that like used to sell stuff at Joann's. I don't know, maybe they still do. I got this when I first started, and because I was just buying my fabric at Joann's back then. But I really don't like it just because it's very uneven, but I thought it was appropriate for this piece because it looked kind of rough, and I thought it was like a good like fall Halloween-y feel, and I actually really like how it turned out. So here it is up close. We have some stars, a little owl on the moon. Here is a witch holding a broom. I love the pennant flags and how it has that, the floss threaded through it to make it look like the broom and the rake are holding it up. And then here's the bottom. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever done anything by With Thy Needle and Thread, but something I really didn't like about it was she had like maybe 20 flosses listed for the chart, and some of them you only did like maybe like 2 of these pumpkins or something like that. And I guess I can see like, okay, it's more interesting with like the variation and everything, but it was a little irritating because, you know, these were Gentle Arts, Weeks Dye Works, and Classic Colorworks flosses. And so like they weren't like the cheapo DMC flosses, which I'm fine with, but if I'm just gonna use it for a couple stitches, I prefer to just use the same floss. Like, I think I'd be okay if there were only 2 colors of pumpkins in the cauldron, you know what I mean? So that was a little irritating, but I think it turned out really well. Now, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but there was a bit of a debacle due to problems getting wood trail, which is a Gentle Art floss, and it's the dark color of the dresses. So I didn't have enough wood trail to do the entire piece, and for one reason or another, one of my followers mentioned that Gentle Art needed to create a new dye for for wood trail because their supplier had changed or something. And so it wasn't available hardly anywhere for months and months. And like right when I needed just like 2 more rows on the bottom of this dress, it was really frustrating. My needlework shop helped me out some. They had a couple scraps lying around, which is pretty sweet of them, but it wasn't enough. So I was looking around online to try to buy some, and I found a shop that carried some. So I'd heard of this shop before, because on Flosstube, Stitching Bits and Bobs, which I believe is based out of Michigan, which is a state in the United States. And they apparently had it. It was listed in their catalog, and actually all their flosses were cheaper than those available on 123 Stitch. So I actually ordered some wood trail as well as a ton of flosses for another with thy needle and thread piece that I wanted to do. So I spent all told about $40 on flosses. That was in August. Come September, still hadn't gotten them, hadn't had any even sort of communication from the shop. The only email I ever had from the shop was actually from PayPal that I had paid for this order. They never sent me a confirmation email, only PayPal did. And I thought that was like kind of weird, but okay. So about a month after I made the order, I was like, where is it? I called them and they said, oh, it's an out of stock fiber. We're just waiting for that fiber to come in stock. I'm like, first of all, why wouldn't you email me about that if wood trail is the only one we're waiting for? You should have emailed me, and you probably should have just sent the other flosses ahead. I was feeling frustrated, but I was like, okay, this is like a smaller store. I can be patient, and so I was patient. A month later, in October, I called as well. Same thing. I said, okay, you know what, just cancel the wood trail and send me the rest of them. So they said they would. In November, a couple of weeks after that, I called them back because I still haven't received it, and I said, I haven't gotten the refund for my wood trail yet, and I haven't received my order of flosses that you said you were going to send ahead. And she said, oh, I see a note here that that was going to happen, but we haven't sent it. I'll send it today. A couple weeks later, still hadn't got anything. And I was irritated at that point because it had been, August, September, October, November. It had been like 3 months. And I feel like I'm a pretty patient person, especially when I'm working like directly with people like I was calling them and like trying to be patient. But by that point I was ticked off, and so I went ahead and put like a complaint into PayPal, and they ended up just refunding me the entire order. So there were a couple things that I did not like about Stitching Bits and Bobs. One, they had things listed on their site as available that were not available. If wood trail wasn't something that was in stock, they should have put on the wood trail page out of stock. Second was their communication. They did not communicate with me at all. The only communication we had was everything that was initiated by me. I didn't even get a confirmation email from them. I didn't get any sort of communication indicating why I hadn't received my package yet. It was just frustrating. And then third, their follow-through. They told me that they were going to do things, and then they never followed through with them. And it was very frustrating. So I just kind of want to let you guys know that I had that experience with that shop. I had never heard of a bad experience with that shop. So I just wanted to put it out there. I don't know if management has changed. I don't know if it's like this every time you order from them, or if I was just an outlier. I don't know. But I had a bad experience, and I just wanted to pass it on to you guys just so that you're aware, to keep that in mind if you want to order from them. So anyway, ultimately, wood trail came back into stock in 123 Stitch. I ordered one, and I finished this guy up. So I think it turned out really cute. I did finish it in time for Halloween, but I wasn't able to frame it in time for Halloween, but that's okay. It will be ready for next Halloween. So I think it turned out really sweet. So the other finish I've had since our last video was a bigger finish, and it hasn't been framed yet, but that is Liberty's Welcome. As you know, I've been working on this for a long time. I remember I was first working on the house in the summer of 2000, let's see, it was the summer before my 4th year, so 2016. So it took me just over 2 years to finish this piece. And of course, I am like a multiple works stitcher. That is, I work on more than one project at once. And so it wasn't like it was a full two and a bit years on this piece, but that's how long it took me. I think it turned out really nice. It's really big, but I like it. I still wish I had done it 1/1. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that that's something I lamented after I went to the first Woodlawn Arts show that I went to, which was in 2017. But I think it turned out really nice all the same. It's just, you know, it's pretty ginormous. So here is a full view of the piece. I mean, it's just huge, but I think it turned out so pretty. I'll go ahead and show some close-ups here. So I'll talk a little bit about what I did. So I did 1 strand over 2 on 36 count. It was an R&R Reproductions fabric. I don't remember what it was called. I'll look it up. If any of you want to know, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll look it up for you. Now the chart calls for NPI silks. I only buy specialty flosses if there is like variegation or some other reason, some other special reason to use those flosses. So I went ahead and converted the NPIs to DMC. The chart does have a DMC conversion on it, but I went through piece by piece to make sure that I liked the flosses, and so most of them are the ones that were noted on the chart's conversion, but some of them are ones that I selected myself. And then some other changes that I made. You can see a big one right now. I changed the hill as well as the house. Everything else is as charted, but I'll go ahead and talk about the hill and the house right now. So the house, it turned out looking good, I think, but the house was the first thing I did, and I didn't like how much the white or like cream of the house blended in with the fabric. This fabric is not the called for fabric because my stitching shop didn't have the called for fabric, so I chose another one. And if you know, have been watching my videos for a while, you know that I kind of agonized over this color because I didn't feel like it stood out enough, and I was frustrated that it just kind of blended into the fabric. In an effort to make it stand out a little bit more, I put little pieces of brick, almost as if the house had been plastered, and the brick was kind of rubbing through as the years wore on. The brick on the bottom of the house, the foundation, that was charted. All the other brick in the house was not. And so I added that, and I think it turned out pretty cute. It's a different look, but I think it works, and I think it's actually good. Ultimately, the color did stand out against the fabric well enough, but I think the brick adds a little bit something extra. And so I really like that change that I made. The other change I made was the hill. The hill in the chart, and I'll pop a picture up here, says Liberty's Welcome on it. And that's referring to the date on the top of the piece, July 4th, 1776, meaning the Americans welcomed liberty on that day, I suppose. I'm assuming that's what they're getting at. I didn't really like that because I didn't think it was particularly meaningful, but I liked this phrase, which of course is from the Declaration of Independence, which was, of course, signed on this date. And that is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which, if you're American, you will know that that is a phrase used in the Declaration of Independence that refers to some of the rights the Founding Fathers believed were inalienable. So I don't know if you can tell, but the ampersand, the pursuit of, it is a smaller font than the rest of the piece, than the rest of the words. Life, liberty, and happiness, I believe I cobbled together from an alphabet that I found just on like Google Images, and then ampersand, the pursuit of, that was from an online text formatter. Then I went ahead and put them together in Excel. I recreated the hill, the full-size hill in Excel, and I wrote it out like this. I wanted it to fill the majority of the hill. That's why I made the words so big. I think it turned out really well. I like it, you know, 200 times better than the Liberty's Welcome that is what the chart calls for, and I think ultimately this piece turned out beautifully. The last thing that's personalized, of course, is my signature. This was not thought of by me, but of course my name is unique to this piece. This work wrought by me was in the chart, and then they give you an alphabet, and I went ahead and wrote J. Miller, 18. 18 was not on the chart, and so I had to create my own numbers. It's 1/1, which is a bit of a pain, but it turned out really nice. I tried to get some good pictures of this for Instagram, and it was very challenging, so I don't even know that I have I don't even think my Instagram account has a full image of this. It was just hard to get because it's pretty big. But that's my biggest finish, I think, since my last video. Alright, so the next portion of this video will be the fully finished objects that I've had. Some of these are finishes that you haven't seen yet. I think one of them is even a start that you haven't seen yet. So I don't know if I showed it in a video previously, but that is my Hope cross stitch. This is a cross stitch that I made last year, and I intended to enter it in the Woodlawn Needle Art Show last year. For various reasons I wasn't able to, but I'm kind of happy I didn't because things kind of took a turn. So I moved to Baltimore in May of 2017, or June, you know, summer of 2017. I had finished this shortly thereafter, and I was still trying to find a framer to do my framing. I live downtown. My needlework shop is about a $20 Uber ride from my house. I don't have a car, and so I take Uber. And I didn't think it was worth it to go to the needlework shop every time I wanted to frame something. And so I used a framer that was within a couple miles of my house. I was able to get to easily downtown. He was very kind, he was helpful, and I thought that the piece turned out great. And I'll put in some pictures here of the finished piece. Now, in those pictures, you can't really tell too well, but it is the linen itself isn't fully stretched. And I wouldn't say I noticed it right away, but as time went on, I noticed that it wasn't fully stretched. And I was nervous. I didn't know what to do because I'm not like the kind of person who's going to confront somebody. And so ultimately, a couple months after, I finally decided I'm going to take it to the needlework shop and see what they can do. I didn't open it or anything because I didn't know what was back there. When I brought it to the needlework shop, they agreed with me that it didn't look right, and so they opened it while I was still there, and I was shocked. I was disappointed. I don't know the right word. I felt like, I'm going to say the word betrayed, but that seems like very dramatic. I'm not sure what the word is that I want to use, but I felt like I had trusted him with my piece of work that had taken hundreds and hundreds of hours, and he did not care for it as I had expected him to. I only have a couple pictures because I was just like so upset, and these are actually pictures that the needlework shop printed for me, which was so kind of them. And essentially, in short, the piece had been taped with what looked like packing tape. I don't know if it was packing tape. I certainly hope it wasn't, because I would be surprised if it were, because he's a framer, and so he should know to use like acid-free adhesives. But it looked like packing tape. It was taped to like the backing board, the foam core, and the fillet was also taped to the piece on top of it. There was no spacer. It was very upsetting. It was very upsetting because before I had dropped the piece off, I specifically asked him, do you pin or do you lace your needlework? He said he'd done needlework before, and he said he pinned. And I remember talking to him for like 5 or 10 minutes about the process of needlework mounting. And now looking back, it's like he probably had no idea what I was talking about, because based on what I saw of my piece, it's clear that he had no idea what to do with the needlework. Ultimately, with the encouragement from my needlework shop, I did actually confront him. Ultimately, he refunded me the cost, the charges that the needlework shop charged me to remount and the materials, because of oh, he cut my linen. He cut my linen. That was another thing that just, I mean, it was too much. I was so angry. When we opened that piece, I totally forgot about that, but he had cut my linen. And so the reason that's relevant is because they had to move the fillet in a little closer in order to fully mount it. Luckily, he hadn't cut so much off that it wasn't salvageable. Everything turned out okay in the end, but it was extremely stressful. It made me so angry. Anyway, so I sent him the bill for the materials, because they had to cut a new mat, and then also the labor. And he actually did end up refunding me the cost of the materials and labor from the needlework shop, which I was happy for. But in turn, he was aggravated that I hadn't brought the piece back to him. And I didn't say this to him because I wanted to keep it civil, but I was thinking, honestly, you think that I would bring it back to you? It's clear that you had no idea what you were doing. I do not want you touching another piece of my artwork. Anyway, so after that whole long story, I have the same frame that I showed previously, a slightly darker matte, because the ladies at my needlework shop are incredibly helpful. I'm a very indecisive person, and they are more decisive. They know what's appropriate for each piece, and so they've been helping me. And so they actually chose a different color matte because we forgot to choose that before I left the store. And like I said, it costs $40 round trip, more or less, to get to the store. And so I said, just, choose what you think. I trust you. And I think it turned out great. So it's hanging up on the wall. I'll bring you over there and show it to you, and we'll see that it looks loads better than the last one. Okay, so this is the Hope cross stitch. Sorry, this is difficult to photograph. It's very reflective. But I'm gonna get up a little closer here, and you'll be able to see. They chose a matte that went with the green in the frame, and I think it turned out really nice. They went ahead and mounted it correctly. And I think it turned out beautifully. Needless to say, after the work that they did on this piece, I have now brought all of my framing, my pieces to be framed to them, to frame. I'll go ahead and show you another piece that they framed, which is also hung on the wall. Alright, so this is another piece that they've framed. This is the alphabet houses. I'm not sure what they're called. It's 9 individual pamphlets, and it's designed by Little House Needleworks. This is the project that my mom and I did on our trip to Newport. And just for those of you who don't know, Newport is a city in Rhode Island, and they are famous for the summer cottages that are there. And they use the word cottages very loosely in this context. They are mansions that were the summer homes for business moguls who were coming up to escape the heat of New York City in the Golden Age, which was the early 1900s. Anyway, so because we were going to Newport to tour these mansions and sample the opulence, so to speak, we decided that doing this piece with a lot of houses on it would be appropriate. Now, these houses are many times more simple than any of the houses that we saw in Newport, but we had so much fun with this project, and I think it turned out wonderfully. So you may recognize this as identical to the one which Vanna Pfeiffer did. We did utilize her border idea with the dotted line and the solid line around the outside. I think it turned out really nicely. We also made a couple of changes. You may notice, if you've done this piece yourself, that we took out all of the people. We didn't think they really fit well with the design, and so we took out all the people and added you know, additional pumpkins or flowers or trees or whatever it is that that home had. I'll go ahead and zoom in closer to each of the homes so that you can see. I think they turned out beautifully, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about the project as I get closer to it. Alright, so the first one is ABC. This one did have a person on it. I think it turned out really cute though. I just added an extra pumpkin instead of flowers. D&E, FGH. I love that house color. I'm not as into the berries that are on the lawn, but you know, they're cute. I do like the birds though. This one also had a person, I believe, but I'm not positive. IJK. Something that we did to this one, I believe it was this one, is we added this dark bar going down to better define the corner. I believe that it was charted for a lighter color. That is, it's a color that was very similar to the house color itself, and so it didn't stand out very well, and so we decided to go ahead and make it the darker color, and I think it turned out well. LMN, which I think is very cute. I really like the coloring of the trees, how that turned out in this one. And OPQ. The same thing may be true for the corner of this one. It may have been charted for the roof color to be this corner bar. I honestly don't remember, but regardless, we tried to make the IJK and OPQ, you know, work together, be similar. So I think they do. RST is really, really cute too. And you can see we both wrote Newport, Rhode Island in the bottom corner. In this lighting, the grass here looks blue. And it definitely does have a blue tint to it, but it's definitely a green. UVW. Something we changed about this one is the hinges in the gate. They're full X's in the chart, which we thought was a bit excessive. It didn't really make sense, and so we just did some little backstitching pieces there. And then XYZ. Thought the beehive was pretty sweet on that. So I'll go ahead and zoom out again. This is the alphabet houses by Little House Needleworks, and I think they turned out really cute. I loved it. To give you an idea, we did not finish this piece in the course of our trip, but we each finished enough that the whole piece was completed by the end of the trip. And if I can find the picture that we took of that, I'll post it right here. Basically, I just mean that I did the first couple and she did the last couple. Then we could lay them on each other and see the completed piece. So yeah, I think that turned out really well. Let's go back to my sitting area and I'll show you the other fully finished items that I have that have been completed since my last video. Okay, I have 3 more framed items to show you, and then we'll move on to essentially my full stash, just so that I know that you guys have seen everything new that I've purchased in the last couple months. So the first piece is, I think you may have seen that I was working on this, but you never saw the finish. It is, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's by the Victoria Sampler, and I made a little adjustment to it. I changed the words. I think the words were, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. I wanted something a little bit more, or a little bit less restrictive as far as season. So this is a winter wreath by the Victoria Sampler, and instead I put Holiness to the Lord. I do believe you've seen that. This is the piece. It's very small. It's adorable. It was a bit of a pain because there's a lot of Krynic in it. So I'll go ahead and show this up close. Now, they used what they called like a shadow box technique to frame it. And I don't know if you can see this, but it leaves a space between the piece and the backing. And that's just so that you can see the cut and pulled work a little better. So these are the first little bits, which I do believe I've shown previously. This is the wreath. The wreath was a really hard part to do because all the branches are in silver Krynic, which is just, it's difficult to work with, and it's also difficult to keep your place on the chart. You can also see a lot of like pearl beads as well as French knots in the wreath, and I think it turned out really cute. I don't remember if I talked about this in my last video, but I was thinking of holding off the French knots because I didn't feel like they were turning out right. I went ahead and did them, wasn't too worried about how they turned out, and I think the final product is really nice. It just has like a very fluffy look. Next below that is a little like village scene, and then some more pulled thread work. So you can kind of see the shadow there. And the reason that I chose to give the like shadow boxing a try, I'm not sure what it's called, is because it's white thread on white fabric on a white mat. And I just felt like it needed that extra dimension to really pop, to really be able to appreciate the work that had gone into the Hardinger parts. So this is that piece. Now, it was very difficult to frame because I figured that I'd want a silver frame, but a lot of the silver frames are actually more of like an antique-y silver, which has a lot of like yellow tones in it, and that wasn't really appropriate for this piece. And so what we did, we chose this outside frame and we chose this fillet to kind of dress it up a little, and I loved it. Unfortunately, when the frame returned, it had these red lines on it. Now, if you've been watching my videos for almost any length of time, you know that this is 100% not my style. If this had been what the sample frame looked like, I would not have chosen it. So I'm actually pretty upset about this frame. I don't know, this frame actually reminds me of the backdrops from elementary school picture day that had like the lasers. I don't know if any of you have ever seen those backdrops, but it's like a blue backdrop with like lasers going across it. I don't know, it's like the ugliest backdrop ever, I think. But that is what this frame reminds me of. And it does not go with this piece. It does not go with my home. It is not a good look. The problem is because we did the special mounting, I'd essentially have to pay for this entire framing job again, because depending on the depth of the new frame, they would have to remount it to fit that depth. The mounting cost is a double mounting cost because you mount it once and then you mount it again because of the shadow boxing. I mean, I don't know what to do about this. I haven't hung it up yet because I can't tolerate that. It's extremely frustrating. So yeah, more frustrating tales from the cross-stitching life of Janae. But other than that, I think it turned out beautifully. I wondered if maybe I can like paint it or something. I don't know what to do about it. When you hold it away, it's less noticeable. But really, because it's the white on the white on the white, you really have to get up close to look at it and appreciate it. And so I don't want it to be far away, I want to be up close to it. But again, for anybody who knows me, this is not a frame I would have chosen. And so I'm really aggravated that, I don't know, there must have been changes in the framing company or something. I do not blame the needlework shop, but I did express my displeasure with the frame, and there wasn't much they really offered in terms of assistance, which did aggravate me a little bit. I wish they had kind of like helped me a little bit more. So anyway, this is still kind of like an up in the air piece. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen with it, but there's that one. Okay, another FFO, which very exciting, and I think you guys are going to like this too, is The Garden Party by Mirabilia. I finished it several months ago. I'm sure you know. This was the second one that I brought in after I brought in the Hope one for the Needle Workshop to frame. They helped me select a frame for it. It's a silver frame with kind of like a gold tint, like I was saying was the problem with many of the silver frames for that last piece I showed you. I think it turned out pretty awesome. I really like it. I haven't decided where to hang it yet. I had it hung up for a bit and I didn't like where it was, so it's actually just sitting on the ground right now as well. But this is The Garden Party by Mirabilia. That last piece had art glass on it, meaning it's no glare. This piece obviously does not, so there's a lot of glare. I think I will be choosing art glass from now on. I really like that. No glare. This is the frame. I think it's nice. It's fancy, but still like with some clean, simple lines. I think it works really well with this piece. I love the lanterns, the brightness of the lanterns. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this piece. We've looked at it a lot on my prior videos. This is just the finished piece. Some of you may notice that I don't have mats on any of my pieces except for that Hope one. And I don't know, when I first got into cross stitching, I thought I liked mats on all the pieces. But then as I was kind of self-framing my pieces before. I would go to the thrift store, find like old pictures, take the pictures out of the frames, and use those frames. And obviously there's no like mat that's appropriate for the piece in those frames. And since I started doing that, I realized I don't really like mats that much, actually. So they always ask me when I go to the needlework store if I want a mat, and I always say no. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I'm not really into the mat thing, and I think this one especially, because it has like this frame around it anyway, this border, it doesn't really need a mat. Plus it would be ginormous if I got a mat for it. So that's the other one, and then the last one is the Nativity Sampler by Victoria Sampler. Just got this back this week. I think it's beautiful. So this is the frame I chose for it. I like it. I think it works because of this top part here. There's it was definitely something that they encouraged me to choose at the shop. But that's not to say I don't like it. I do like it. I don't like that winter one, but I like this frame. I think it turned out great. Like the last one, we've looked at this one a lot in prior videos, and there's not really much to say except for this is the frame, and I think it looks really good. When I got it, you know, I first thought, oh, maybe I should have put a mat on this one. It's so narrow, but then I was talking to the ladies about it at the shop, and they said, no, you know, I think it actually looks really good without the mat, because the mat would probably like detract from the art. And I do agree with that now. You may remember that I changed the bottom heart hanger in an effort to avoid hearts, and obviously failed. You could still see hearts down there, but anyway, regardless, I think it turned out nice. And I have this sitting on my desk right now so I can see it, but I haven't hung it up because I honestly just don't know where to put it. That's the problem with getting all my things framed. I don't really know where to put them all. I live in a pretty small apartment, and there's not really a lot of wall space, I guess, to hang cross stitch. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my stash real quick, and hopefully we can be done in this video in like another 5 minutes. Alright, so some of these things you've already seen, but I just want to go through. These are all the things that I need to do before I can buy anything new, okay? So this is one that I've bought, Poinsettia House. It's kitted up, and I thought I would work on it this month, but I've actually been working on the chatelaine instead. But, you know, I'll work on it eventually. This one my mom got me for my birthday. I believe it was this year, and it's Home for the Holidays by Blackbird Designs. The pieces I'm planning on doing from here are, let's see, Christmas Garden. I haven't decided yet what fabric I want to use, like what count, but I have decided that it will be a square piece. I will be moving this border up to here. I don't want this part that says Christmas Garden on it. I think it will look really cute. And then the other piece that I'll be doing on here is, I believe it's called Deck the Halls. It's one with a cardinal with holly. Oh, sorry, 'Tis the Season, I guess. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this. It says 'Tis the Season in French, but they do have it charted in English as well. I don't know if I want to do that or if I'm just going to, you know, mirror this down on the bottom. We'll see. But these are other holiday pieces that are up. I was also going to start this one this month, but actually, like I said, I've been working on the chatelaine, and so this is Christmas Tide at Holly House. This is by the Scarlet. This is a design by the Scarlet House. You may have seen, I think it's Annette from Annette's Acre that did this one and turned out really pretty. I have fabric for it, and I have the Belle Soie floss. I ordered these from 123 Stitch, and I'm a little disappointed. So it's charted with MPIs as well as Belle Soie. MPIs I'm going to do DMC as discussed in a prior, about a prior piece. But I went ahead and got the Belle Soie because I wanted the variegation. They look a lot more variegated on camera than in real life. But I don't know. I'm a little disappointed that they're not variegated very well. But maybe once I start stitching, I don't know, it never really works out that way though. If it doesn't look variegated on the skein, it doesn't look it on the fabric either. But anyway, that's another holiday piece. I have a lot of Christmas pieces. Ugh, I've been trying to avoid Christmas pieces because I don't want to like work so hard on something that is only up like 1 month a year. Anyway, I got this little guy. I thought he was really cute. Bluebird Garden by Artful Offerings. I think this was a Nashville show piece or something. I thought it was cute. I like birds for some reason. Not really in real life, more just in art. Alright, this is another With Thy Needle and Thread. Or I don't know if it's called that. Yeah, With Thy Needle and Thread by Brenda Gervais, called Indigo Lane. I thought this was really pretty. Again, I like the bird, and then I kind of like the Quaker feel to it. It's pretty. Another one by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brick House Sampler. Again, it has birds, it has houses, it has letters. Those are like my 3 favorite themes in cross stitch. I don't have any of the things kitted up for that one. I don't know why I bought this. I just thought it was really cute. I guess I kind of was thinking about making some ornies, but haven't really gotten around to it. This one I bought because I was inspired by a giveaway that I won. So let me show you what I got for the giveaway first, and then I'll show you this piece. Okay, so the giveaway that I won was one that Nell over at Little House Crafts put together. I think it was like a subscriber celebration giveaway. And she had worked out with the owner of Victorian Motto Sampler Shop on eBay, that I could choose whichever 12-pack I wanted, and she would send it directly to me. And so I chose, I think it was like antique dried flowers or something, which these colors, I don't know that I love them together, but the reason I chose it was because each individual color, it was the most likely the kind that I would use. And so these are the colors. They're really beautiful. And the thing that's kind of cool about this Victorian Motto Sampler shop is that, I don't know if you can tell, but you get a boatload of floss. I want to say it's like, it doesn't say on here, I want to say it's like 20 yards of floss per skein. They're all hand-dyed, and they're beautiful. They're really beautiful. So thank you, Nell, for sharing the Victorian Motto Sampler shop with me. I've really thought about signing up for their floss club actually since getting these. The reason I don't is because I'm not very adventurous as far as like choosing new colors and subbing stuff out and stuff. But after getting these, oh, it's called the Antique Dried Flowered Collection. And it comes in this nice little box. They're all wrapped up. It's so cute. And it's because of these that inspired me to get this. And so this is a Joy Love piece by Country Cottage Needleworks. And I thought that this would be a great one to try to sub these into. Because like I said, I'm not super adventurous when it comes to subbing stuff in and out. But I thought that these actually went very well with this color palette. And so I thought it would be a really easy sub to do. And so, yeah, eventually I'll work on that. Maybe I'll even do it this month because this is like a nice, I've been really into like smaller pieces lately. And this is a nice little small piece that I could work on this month. All right, back to the stash. This one I've had for a while and haven't really gotten around to do it. It's called The Inn at Fox River Mill by Little House Needleworks. I like it. I think it's kind of like a fall kind of thing. So I was thinking of doing it this fall, but then I did that Victoria Sampler one instead. This one I think you've seen before. Not sure I'm in love with it. It is by, yeah, it's a With Thy Needle and Thread. This one I was going to try doing 1/1, but honestly, I don't really like it. I think I might actually get rid of it. I don't know. Not my favorite. This is one that I bought from the Drawn Thread, and I got the kit for it, which is really nice because it's MPI flosses. They send you the floss, they send you the fabric cut to size. It's really nice. And this is called Apple Blossom Sampler. I thought it was really cute. Again, bird, letters, just missing a house. But I got this over the summer and I thought that I would work on it in springtime. So hopefully I'll be able to pull this out when spring comes around. And then the last one I have in my to-do pile is Smith Sampler, which I bought approximately 1 year ago now, and I haven't really gotten any closer to doing it. I did get fabric for it though when I went down to the Woodlawn Needle Art Show. I got 40 count vintage pearl barley for it, and I think it'll look nice. You can kind of see it has some nice variegation. So I don't know, I guess I've thought about changing the colors on this, and that's kind of what's holding me back. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be able to work on that this year. So those are all of my stash pieces that I have yet to complete before I can go ahead and add more stash. that's pretty much all I have to share with you today. I really thought about splitting this video up into like 3 separate videos, like finishes, working on, and then stash, but then I was like, oh, well, each video would be like 5 minutes. Well, I guess it looks like each video would have been like 20 minutes, but I think I'm just going to put this all in one video. I do apologize for the long video. I hope I can get back to you guys sooner.